Tell us about that transition. You come to K-State. I think you started out in the defensive tackle room.
Me and my dad walk into the locker room, go over to my locker, and I see number 50. I kind of look at my dad and go, I don't think I'm playing defensive line anymore. So I didn't even get like 30 seconds of defensive tackle. Now I look back on it, and, I'm proud to be an offensive lineman.
What do you attribute your growth, your success to as a player?
I think the biggest thing is just being coachable, and I think that's where a lot of dudes you see kind of fall off. I'm not the fastest dude, I'm not the strongest dude, I'm not the most athletic guy. That aspect of my game, I think, is really what allowed me to continue to grow and have success.
He said, ask Cooper about the night when we went to Cold Stone after the Tulane loss.
So, we lose to Tulane. Obviously, we're pretty upset. Let's just go get some ice cream. Make us feel a little bit better. And there's a huge storm happening. There's, tornado sirens going off. And there's this family behind us. And there's this little girl. The mom picks her up. He goes, here, take my kid. Sitting there trying to calm her down. And
that's funny.
It was kind of a weird moment, but it's kind of, a funny thing. And, being good at football and being a good person, people trust you.
For sure. K-State family, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Cats Talk, hosted by Wildcat NIL. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Be sure to like, comment, or subscribe wherever you find your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Please also follow us on social media. Your support makes it so we can continue to put out these podcast episodes. If you're looking for more information on NIL, please visit www.catsnil.com. Thanks for your support, and go Cats. Hey K-State family, welcome to this episode of Cats Talk, hosted by Wildcat NIL. I'm your host, Curry Sexton. On this podcast, we will bring you the most influential people at Kansas State, including former K-Staters. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by future K-State Ring of Honor member and Dallas Cowboys starting center, Cooper Beebe. Cooper, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I'm glad to be on the pod.
For sure. Well, so we're sitting here just for purposes of giving the viewers a little context. We're sitting here on Friday, September 27th. You played your fourth NFL game last night against the New York Giants on Thursday Night Football. How has the transition been from K-State, from being a 5-year guy at K-State to now being a starting center in the NFL?
It's definitely pretty different. When I got to the Cowboys, right when they drafted me, they told me I was going to play center. Never played center before in my life, only when I was young. So it was definitely a change of pace. It was definitely a lot of a learning curve you kind of had to get through. And, I think it kind of shows, how dedicated I am and how willing I am to put in that work. Never played center, and, I get the call and I'm the starting center of the Dallas Cowboys. So it's definitely a huge change, but, I'm very blessed and, that all my hard work pays off.
Absolutely. So obviously you played a game last night in New York or in New Jersey. I don't know where the stadium's actually at. You fly back to Dallas and then you fly to Manhattan here to go to the game tomorrow. How's your body feeling right now?
It's definitely sore. Especially going against, Dexter Lawrence last night, that was definitely a challenge. So my body's pretty beaten up, but, I had some time to come catch a Cats game. Anytime I can, I'm definitely going to make it out. So, I got home from, New York at 5 a.m., got on a flight here at 10, and here we are. I'm ready for the game tomorrow.
Sunny Manhattan, Kansas. Well, you mentioned Dexter Lawrence, and obviously in your fourth game of your rookie season, you went up against a guy who I think most people would agree is the best nose tackle in the NFL. I saw a stat on Twitter. Obviously, Twitter's Twitter, but I think it's legit. 22 pass blocking snaps. You gave up 0 pressures to the best nose tackle in the game. You're a rookie, you're playing a position you've never played before, you're playing against grown men. What do you attribute to your success early in your rookie season where you're playing against these steady veterans who are Pro Bowlers, all pro guys?
I think the biggest thing for me is just continuing to learn from the veterans that we have. Obviously I've, future first ballot Hall of Famer Zach Martin right next to me. And, that's a dude I've leaned on heavy, to start my career. Obviously, he's He's played the game at a high level for a long time, and he's the guy that gives me the tips and tricks that gets me really ready to play these guys. And I think the biggest thing for me coming in as a rookie that they kind of instilled in me is, go be you. You don't have to be anything else other than yourself. And that was one of the things when I first got there. Obviously, I wasn't comfortable playing center. I was playing pretty timid. I was out there trying not to mess up, and I sat down with Zach and he goes, "Hey man, you're gonna go out there, you're gonna make mistakes, but just go play football. You've been playing football your entire life." And that when that really hit my mind, you're like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go out there, give it everything I got. Don't worry about trying to be perfect. And I think that's the reason I've had success. Obviously there's still a lot to work on. Still, definitely, I kind of got some welcome to the NFL moments going against Dexter last night, but just continue to improve, continue to get better, and hopefully have a long career.
You're right. I think Zach Martin's a pretty good guy to learn from, and that you said first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's well on his way. Now, one more question before we get into your time at K-State. We talked about you playing on a Thursday night. You played the Ravens at home on Sunday. I believe that was a 3:30 kick.
Yep.
And then you play in New York on Thursday night. Obviously, that's not something you ever had to do in college. What's it like, that quick turnaround where you've got 72 hours or so to get your body back and healthy for a big game?
The recovery aspect's definitely, something that you really have to learn how to do, especially with that quick turnaround. And, fortunately, in the NFL, when we have that quick turnaround, you don't have any padded practices or anything like that. So that definitely helps. But that recovery aspect, something that, I think, I did really well in college at. But once you get to the NFL, you gotta bump it up to the next level. And, it's definitely hard to, you come off a game, especially a tough opponent like Baltimore, and having that quick turnaround, not just getting your body back, but, you only have, 3 or 4 days to get ready for your next NFL game. So it's definitely a challenge. And like I said, earlier, I kind of lean on those vets to kind of teach me, their ways. And, I kind of just learned from them and the extra things they do, the massages, IVs and different things that, I didn't really, do much at K-State that I'm doing a lot now. Like, I'm seeing a manual therapist and that kind of thing. And so just learning from those guys, but it's definitely a challenge getting your body back and right for, that short kickoff.
But now the flip side of it, and we talked about this before we got on here live, is that now you've got a little mini bye week, right? So you get a little time to let the body recover and get ready for the next matchup. Let's talk about your time at K-State. Obviously, everybody listening is well aware of the success that you had at K-State. I want to start from the beginning. You're Kansas City Piper kid. You were, I believe, a 3-star defensive tackle recruit. Part of Coach Klieman's first signing class, but you were actually recruited by Coach Snyder,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
So why did you choose K-State?
So one of the biggest things for me, grew up a K-State fan, and one of the biggest things for me, my family is my biggest support system. And, I knew I wanted to stay close to home. My oldest brother played at Minnesota, and I saw how tough it was for my parents to get to a lot of those games. And, I wanted them to be at every game possible. So I wanted to stay close and, went on my visit to K-State and just fell in love with the place like a lot of people do. It's just special, man. The people, the place, the coaches, I just knew, this was the home for me. And, right when they offered me, I committed right away and never looked back. So, I'm very grateful for what K-State's done for me. And that's why, every chance I get, I definitely am going to come back.
Absolutely. You're like a living legend around here. So you mentioned kind of committing and never looking back, but obviously during the time, or I guess during the period in which you were committed before you signed, Coach Snyder, he retires and Coach Klieman gets hired. Was there ever a moment during that transitional period where you had second thoughts, where you thought, should I look somewhere else?
I didn't really know. I knew K-State wanted to be the place for me no matter the coach. And actually, funny story on that. So I'm on my official visit. I'm in Snyder's office, and we asked him, like, hey, are you retiring? And he goes, no, I'm staying here. I walk out. All the players are walking in. And at that time, I didn't know what that meant when all the players come in, for a meeting. And, of course, we're leaving, and we see on Twitter he retires. So that was kind of a, shock and all. But, luckily, Coach Klieman called me right away when he got the job, told me I still had an offer. And, I knew this is still the place for me. I think it's the people that really brings you here. And, like I said, never looks back. And, I'm very blessed to be in the position I am today.
So we talked about 3-star nose tackle recruit, turned, best lineman in K-State history, in my opinion. Tell us about that transition. You come to K-State. I think you started out in the defensive tackle room. What caused you to get switched over to the offensive line group, and what was that transition like?
So I kind of knew, going in that I would probably eventually change to O-line. And, my dad told me that. He goes, dude, you're going to play O-line. And, funny story, I was supposed to be number 98. And me and my dad walk into the locker room, go over to my locker, and I see number 50. And I go, I kind of look at my dad and go, I don't think I'm playing defensive line anymore. And, of course, right then I get a phone call, and it's Taylor. And he goes, hey, Coach Klieman and Coach Riley want to talk to you. So I go up there and go, hey, we're moving you to O-line. We think that's going to be a better position for you. So I didn't even get like 30 seconds of defensive tackle. But, like I said, it worked out for the best. I knew eventually I would move there. And, I think at the beginning, when I was younger, I wanted to play DT because, they were the ones, making the big plays, the sacks, those kind of things. And now I look back on it, and, I'm proud to be an offensive lineman.
That's a cool story and impressive foresight by Coach Klieman, Coach Riley, to know that, hey, this guy's going to be a player for us on the offensive line. So you come to K-State. I believe your first year was your first year the COVID year, or was your first year 2019?
2019.
Okay, and then you played in 2020. You played in a few games, right, as a redshirt freshman. Is that right?
Yeah, I started at right tackle.
Okay, so you started. So 2019. Take me back. Excuse me. 2019. You were a true freshman, and you got to play.
Yes, so I played Bowling Green and Kansas for a little bit. garbage time. But.
Yeah. So when did you? And it may have been before this, but when did you think to yourself after you made that transition to the offensive line? When did you think, I'm going to be a player here? Like I can really be a big time player at this level.
Honestly, it probably wasn't until midway through, the COVID season, honestly. And maybe even later, when I moved to left tackle in 2021. But yeah, honestly, when I got here to K-State, my thought was I just want to play at some point. Like I just want to see the field at some point in my career. Never would I have guessed, I'd turn out to have the career I had. But I think, when it really set in, I think for me is, 2021, I'm starting at left tackle, and I'm all Big 12, and I'm a dude. If you know me, I don't have the longest arms. I'm not the tallest guy. I'm not your typical prototype tackle, and I go out there and make first team all Big 12. I'm shutting down future first round picks, and I think at that moment I was kind of like, you know what, I can do this. Like I'm going to be a big time player. Like I see the NFL in my future, and I just continue to grind from there, continue to learn, continue to get better, and once they moved me to guard, I felt really comfortable with that. And I think that's really where my game jumped up another level, and it's allowed me to have, the success I've had.
That's an awesome story, and cool to hear just the journey of the mindset. Now, you mentioned, 2021, your first team all Big 12 left tackle. By the time you leave K-State, you're two-time offensive lineman of the year in the conference. You're one or two-time first team All-American. You're every other accolade you could think of. 3-time first team All Big 12, and then obviously a third-round NFL draft pick. What do you attribute your growth, your success to as a player?
I think the biggest thing is just being coachable, and I think that's where a lot of dudes you see kind of fall off. I may not. I'll be the first one to admit, I'm not the fastest dude. I'm not the strongest dude. I'm not the most athletic guy. But it's the ability to be coachable. I think that's really allowed me to have the success. I'm always trying to learn and always trying to get better. And I think, for me, just continuing to learn. I was blessed to have Coach Riley as offensive line coach. He's a tremendous coach. I love him to death. He was pretty hard on me, and, that's something I needed. And, he always strived for the best from his players, and, just continuing to learn from him. And I think that, that aspect, I think, is really what molded me into the offensive lineman I am today, is that ability to, learn from your mistakes, take that coaching, and, when you mess up, making sure that stuff doesn't happen again. And I think, you see a lot of dudes today, and I think that's the area, especially, with the NIL stuff now, I think that's the area people kind of miss out on. They're not able to be coachable. They're not taking that. And I think that's where you see a lot of dudes with high amounts of talent never pan out because, they're not coachable. They're not willing to take that. And, I think that aspect of my game, I think, is really what allowed me to continue to grow and have success.
Yeah, it's hard to, especially as a player of your skill level, and for other guys that are of a similar skill level, to play on, say, a Saturday night and have a dominant performance, but then go in the film room and still feel like, man, I played horribly, and to get that criticism. But like you said, take it, learn from it. That's what makes you a better player. Now, junior season, you're Big 12 Lineman of the Year. We win the Big 12 championship. We play in the Sugar Bowl. Obviously, you're a guy who NFL teams are already looking at, and you choose to come back for your senior year. What went into that decision? What led you to coming back to K-State for your senior year?
Yeah, so there was a lot that definitely went into it. Obviously one of the things was the other guys. Obviously Hayden Gillum, KT, Duff, and those other guys. They're looking to come back for their 6th year, and those are my brothers. And we sat down, right across the street and kind of talked about it. I told them, I said, hey, if you guys want to come back, we can have another run at this. I wanted to try to win another Big 12. There was nothing quite like that experience. But also kind of on the selfish side, I've talked about it before, but I wanted to put my name in the K-State Ring of Honor. You look up on the stadium, there's no offensive lineman there. And, I thought I was in a position if I had another solid year. I think what really kind of pushed me over that was not making consensus All-American. That was something I missed out on by like one organization or however they do it. And, I told myself, I want to come back, I want to be consensus All-American, I want to win all these awards, I was a finalist for the Outland. I wanted to win that, didn't win that one, but was a finalist for it. So there was a lot of, you say selfish, but there's still a lot
personal motivation. I think is what it probably is.
There was definitely a lot of stuff I still wanted to prove. I wanted to prove, I was one of the best linemen in the country, and that was one of the reasons, I came back. I knew I could have another solid year, and it would definitely put me up there as one of the top offensive linemen of the years. And I was just blessed. And like I said, this place is special.
Yeah.
And it's the people, it's the coaches that pour into you that you just love about being around Manhattan. Like, especially, I'm out here in the community, people are coming up and talking to me, saying hi, wanting autographs, wanting pictures. And for being an offensive lineman, usually you don't get that kind of recognition. So that was special to me.
It's awesome.
I wanted to relive that for another year. And obviously, I had another successful year. I achieved all the things I wanted to. And then, now it was my time to move on. But, I wanted to make my, mark in K-State history. And I think I did that and kind of set the standard for what it is to play offensive line here. There's a lot of greats that came before me, and, just kind of building off that and, kind of set the standard.
So do you think you did enough to get your name up there on the Ring of Honor?
I would think so. Obviously it's not up to me, but there's definitely a lot of people that agree that I should be in it. But like I said, it's not up to me.
I just had to ask. I for what it's worth, I think there's little doubt.
There's a lot of people in the organization that said I'll be up there. I just got to wait my time.
There's little doubt. I just had to put you on the spot. So, we've talked about Coach Klieman and Coach Riley a little bit. What was it like to play for Coach Klieman? Obviously, he's a guy who came in from the FCS level. You came in with him. He from my perspective, he's a player's coach. The players love him. What was it like to play under him for 5 years?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was just, like you said, he was the ultimate player's coach. And, when people talk about, family and that aspect of it, a lot of people will say it, but they don't actually mean it. With Coach Klieman, he truly means it. And, one of his big things is, he's going to coach you hard. He's going to get on you. But, when it comes down to it, he truly loves you. And, I'm so grateful for, having him as a coach. And, one of the things I think that allowed us to have that success is he allowed the players to coach the team. It wasn't the coaches that if we were having a bad practice, it wasn't the coaches getting on us. It was the other players. And I think, having that player accountability and him allowing the players to, basically coach the team, I think really, brought out, that kind of accountability and discipline you need. And I think that was one of the reasons, we had success and won a Big 12 championship. It wasn't, the coaches, trying to do it all. It was the players taking accountability. Obviously, we have a tough loss to Tulane where, most people think, we should win that game easy. And, as a leadership guy and a captain, we sat down and we knew we had to right the ship. And I think, without that player accountability, player-led team, I don't think we win the Big 12. So, I'm forever grateful for him. He's a tremendous coach, tremendous person, and, I love him to death.
We'll dive deeper into this conversation after the break. But before then, I want to tell you about our good friends at Home Field Apparel. Get on over to homefieldapparel.com and get your hands on some of Home Field's K-State selection of over 40 items that are thoughtfully created by Home Field's team. I personally have several pieces from their K-State selection, and I'm wearing my favorite Home Field sweatshirt today, featuring an old school Willie the Wildcat. Home Field Apparel is incredibly high quality and comfortable apparel, and there's something for everybody at homefieldapparel.com. Be sure to use the promo code CATSNIL24 when you check out to get 10% off your order. And when you use that promo code, Home Field will donate 10% of your order back to Wildcat NIL so we can support K-State student athletes. Again, get on over to homefieldapparel.com today and use the promo code CATSNIL24.
That's great. Obviously, I didn't get to play for him, but certainly respect the type of person that he is and the coach that he is. So a couple of quick hitters for you. What was your favorite game that you played in at K-State?
Well, besides the Big 12 championship, I think that's kind of a cop-out, so I'm not going to say that one. Honestly, I think going down to Oklahoma and beating them twice in my career in Norman. First one was COVID. We're down 20-something points, come back and win it. And then obviously, a couple years later, Adrian Martinez goes off. We go down to Norman again. Tremendous atmosphere, tremendous place.
Just after the Tulane loss, right?
Yep.
Like a week later.
Yeah. So in COVID, we lose to Arkansas State, go to Oklahoma. They're ranked 5th or 3rd or something. Beat them. A couple years later, we lose to Tulane, go to Oklahoma. They're ranked 5th again or something like that. Beat them, and I think those are kind of the highlights. There's not a lot of people that can say they're undefeated in Norman. So I take a lot of pride in that, and. Throughout my career, I was 3-2 against them, so I'll definitely take that.
I think the 2022 game will be the last conference matchup, right? So we've got bragging rights for a long time. Okay, you said you weren't gonna take the cop out of the Big 12 answer. I got to ask you, what was it like to win a Big 12 championship at K-State?
Oh, it was unreal. It's just something I still think about to this day. Just to know. Going through, I don't think people give K-State, the credit they deserve. And we're always, a team that's looked down on, that's, underestimated. And, you always get the OUs, the Texas, they run it all. And, to be able to just continue to grind and knock out all those haters and being able to hoist up that trophy, especially going in, nobody was picking us to win. We had lost to TCU earlier in the season, had lost a couple quarterbacks during that game. And, we knew if we got them again, it'd be the other way. And, once you see Ty Zentner, make that kick, it's just, just the emotion. You didn't know what to say. Like, I was just running around. I know Jason's sitting over there, he was all running around. We were just so excited. And, just to know everything that you put in, the off season, the summer, all those hard workouts, all those, that long fall camp days, just to know it all came to fruition. You're able to hold up that trophy, and now every time you come back and you see that up on the stadium, you were a part of that, and that's a part of K-State history, and we'll have that forever. So it's just a tremendous experience, and one I'll remember forever.
That's awesome. Now, shifting back to the NFL, so you graduate last year, we win the Pop-Tarts Bowl, and then you enter the pre-draft process. And I know you had a great pre-draft process. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it was pretty, it was pretty unique. I go down, go train in Frisco, and it was cool because you got to train with a lot of other O-linemen. And so you kind of got to compare yourself to a lot of the other high caliber players. And, I think at that point, kind of going through workouts, agility drills, you kind of look at these other guys and, I know you really shouldn't compare yourself to other players. But, I think at that point I knew, okay, I was like, I can really do this. And, I belong here in the NFL. And, it was definitely a grind. And I think the hardest part of it all was just all the meetings with the NFL teams. All the running and stuff kind of takes care of itself. You just got to show out for a couple reps and you're good. But the meetings, they definitely try to grill you. They try to, get you to mess up, say something you shouldn't, and kind of try to get under your skin. And you really don't know, what teams think when you're in there. You could be talking about certain stuff, and they're just blank faced. You have no idea. You can't really read the room. So that was definitely the most intimidating part. But and honestly, if I was ever to do it again, I would pass on the experience. Like, it was a cool thing, but it was definitely a lot more pain.
A lot of stress, right?
A lot of stress than, I would have wanted. But, as part of the process, it helps me, obviously get drafted in the NFL. So it was definitely a part of my experience.
Now, you go through the process, you have a great combine, and then you go into draft night, or draft weekend, I should say. Did you have an expectation or a thought of where you might go?
Yeah, so just talking with my agent, I knew I'd be a day 2 guy. Going into it, I really thought I was going to go to Seattle. My agent was hammering me. He goes, "Hey, Seattle loves you. Like, they really like you. Don't be surprised they pick you." And the funny thing is, I had never talked to the Cowboys at all through the whole process. And when I was down there working out, for the combine in Frisco, it was right across from the complex. And the trainer, Duke Manyweather, the dude I trained with, he trains all the Cowboys O-linemen in the offseason. And, he calls me up in the middle of the draft and goes, "Hey, don't be surprised if the Cowboys take you. They called me 3 times about you." Sure enough, a couple picks later, Cowboys are up, and they pick me. So it's such an unreal, you hear Jerry Jones give you a phone call, and, my heart sank. I was just so excited knowing that, my NFL dreams are coming true. And, it's just, you can't even describe, how excited I was. My parents are crying, everybody's crying. They're so happy for me. And, just to know, my dream's starting to come true.
For sure. And it's like the end, you talk about how stressful that period was, and it's like that's the moment that it ends.
Yep.
That's the moment when you can finally breathe. Super cool story. And I know getting a call from Jerry Jones, who's a legend, is had to be a cool feeling. Okay, what was your first purchase if you've had first big purchase as a professional athlete?
So my big first purchase, I brought a brand new GMC Denali truck.
There you go.
Had to get me a whip. Other than that, I really don't try to spend a whole lot of money. Granted, I have been spending a lot of money on the new NCAA game, but that's besides the point. I take a couple dollars here and there out of my game checks and buy packs and that kind of thing. But other than that, I'm pretty frugal. I try to save as much money as I can and, just put it away. So
earlier when we were talking about Dexter Lawrence, you mentioned that he gave you a couple welcome to the NFL moments. What was your first welcome to the NFL moment?
Honestly, I think this one was probably against Dexter was probably the real, because the other games, I don't think I quite got blown up like I did against him. It at some points, he makes you feel like, well, he's such a strong dude. And, we were doing, I had a solo block and, he kind of just one arm tossed me to the side and it made me feel like a little kid. And the funny thing is, I came over to the sideline and I was like, dude, I just got tossed. And Zach was right there. He goes, dude, trust me, it happens to everybody, especially with him. And, in that moment, he's such a big dude. It just kind of makes you feel like a little kid.
Yeah.
He just kind of tosses you. But, that's part of the game. You're going to get got, especially in the NFL. There's a lot of good players. And, you just got to come back and continue to fight. And, that's what we did. We had to thug out a win. And, now we're 2-2. So
it's kind of what the NFC East is all about, huh? Okay, last question on the NFL experience thus far. What's it like to be back playing with Deuce? I know he's had a wild journey so far, but what's it like being back with him?
Oh, it's awesome. When we were in that pre-draft process, he called me and we met up and we were like, hey, like it would be so cool to have a reunion here in Dallas. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm all for it. Like, they just gotta draft me, and sure enough, here I am back with him again, and. It just feels such like old times, and, I'm so happy for him, and just being able to block for him again, it just, throws me back to, my days here in college, and, it's just an awesome experience.
And I think by the time people listen or watch this pod, we're gonna get some, we're gonna have a nice surprise for the Cats this weekend with Cooper
absolutely.
and Deuce in the stadium. So looking forward to that. Okay. get a couple more more lighthearted ones to finish this one off. So I know we're taking up a lot of your time here, but funny stories. I'm sure you've got a bunch. I don't want to get any too inappropriate, but so Jace, who's sitting here off camera, best left what's his
left
position?
shield,
best left shield in K-State history. He told me, I said, give me some funny stories, and he said, all right, how about, he said, ask Cooper about the night when we went to Cold Stone after the Tulane loss. And yeah, so tell us about that.
Yeah, so, we lose to Tulane. Obviously, we're pretty upset. We thought, obviously that's a team we should have beat. So we're like, it's me and my girlfriend and Jason, his girlfriend. We're like, let's just go get some ice cream. Make us feel a little bit better. And, we go down there and there's a huge storm happen. There's, tornado sirens going off, and we're in Cold Stone, and they're like, hey, we need everybody to lock it down. You either got to go home or go to the basement. So we go to the basement, and, there's other families and stuff there. So we're walking down, and there's this family behind us, and there's this little girl, and she's probably like, I don't know, she was probably 6, 7. So, and the mom picks her up and goes, here, take my kid, and tosses her to me, because she was like, hey, you're Cooper Beebe, right? And I was like, yeah. She goes, here, take my kid. So we're walking down these stairs. She picks up her like 7-year-old daughter, gives her to me. So I'm holding her, and it's not like a little kid. It's,
yeah,
I'm sitting here, I'm like, what am I supposed to do with her? And I'm taking her down the stairs, and it was just such a weird
such
moment.
a Manhattan moment, right?
Yeah, he was just like, hey, you're Cooper Beebe, right? I was, yeah. And she's like, hey, will you take my kid? And I'm like picking her up, and she's obviously a bit, not a little kid, and I'm like holding her. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? And I'm just sitting here trying to calm her down. And
that's funny.
It was kind of a weird moment, but it's kind of a funny thing. And but like you said, it's a Manhattan moment.
Yeah.
I guess being good at football and being a good person, people trust you.
For sure. Okay, Halloween's approaching, and obviously
Nacho Libre.
Yeah, Nacho Libre. You made some headlines a couple years ago with your Nacho Libre costume on Halloween. I believe it was the Big 12 championship season. How did that come to be?
So honestly, it kind of just happens. I didn't have a costume. I go on Amazon. It was one of the ones that could ship here the quickest, and I thought, that would be hilarious. I think that, people would love that. And, I told Jace, I was like, hey, screw it. I'm going to get this, and I'm going to, have some fun with it. And, I go out in Aggieville, people are loving it. And, it goes viral. Gillen posted on Twitter, and, it goes pretty viral. I still see that picture.
Barstool, I think Barstool was posting it. I mean, it was all over the place.
Yeah, and it went viral. And, it was funny because I'm at the combine, and, we're weighing in and stuff, and I want to say he was a coach of the Jets. I'm sitting there, stepping on the scale, and he goes, dude, I really loved your Halloween costume. So I thought that was a funny moment. But yeah, people loved it. It was kind of a spur of the moment thing. Shout out to Amazon. They had the, 1-day delivery or overnight delivery, and
that's amazing.
That's how it came to be. And, it went viral. And I think, I'm a person that likes to have fun with that kind of thing. I don't care what people think of me, and I'm here to have a good time. And, we sure enough had a good time, and people loved it, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, it went viral.
That's awesome. Do you have any hidden talents that people wouldn't know about? Cooper mentioned you're a big gamer and maybe even built your own PC at one point in time.
Yes, I did. I love to game. My girlfriend gets upset about me gaming that much, but yeah, I love to game. And one of my first purchases when I got my first stipend check was my own PC, and one of my buddies helped me build it, and yeah, I love to game. And that was another, when I got the NFL money, I upgraded my PC, and I have my setup right in the living room. My girlfriend doesn't really appreciate that, but I love to game. It's something I love to do. I hope to one day start streaming and that kind of thing, and we'll see where that goes.
That's cool. So when your playing career is done, hopefully this is 12, 15 years down the road, do you have any idea what you want to do when that day comes?
Yeah, so it's definitely something, I've thought about. I think, depending on, how long my career is, I still want to be around football. I want to coach, and I think, kind of the high school level is where I want to be. one of my things too is, if I play long enough, I went to school to be a teacher. I wanted to teach, and I think if I play long enough, I think I'm going to substitute teach and coach, high school football. I think, if you really want to have a successful life, you want to make an impact on other people, and what better impact than a teacher and a coach. I've had a lot of, like we've already talked about, I've had a lot of coaches, that have huge impacts on me that, it made me the person I am today. So, I want to give that back. So, when I'm done with my career, taking all the knowledge that I've learned and pouring it back into kids is, something I want to do.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My wife's a teacher, so I certainly appreciate that. Okay, last one. We're going to give you the floor. Obviously, we've talked about your status here at K-State. Do you have anything to say to K-State fans, just, as the person that you are and who you become and what they've meant to you, anything like that?
I think just to say thank you, honestly. And, just to see, how much support and how much pride there is in what I've done here, and all the support that's been around me. Like, just even walk around here today, I got people that stopping me in the airport, and just we're on the plane getting off, and dude stops me and just says, hey, thank you for representing K-State. Thank you for staying and truly representing what it means to be part of K-State. And that's what really means the world to me, is setting that example and just taking pride and enjoying this community. These fans are amazing. This community is awesome, and they're the reason I stay around. They're the reason I still come back. This place is home to me. So I just want to say thank you, for the support for all these years. And I love you guys. You mean the world to me. And without you, I don't think I'll be the person I am today.
That's great. Well, appreciate your time. I know you're busy. I know you're sore. I know you only have limited time here in Manhattan. So thank you for joining us. Obviously, we wish you the best and can't wait to watch you have a long NFL career. But thanks, Cooper, for joining us. That's it for this episode of Cats Talk, hosted by Wildcat NIL. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. K-State family, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Cats Talk, hosted by Wildcat NIL. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, or even leave a 5-star review. And please follow us on social media. Your support makes it so that these conversations are possible. If you're looking for more information on NIL, please visit www.catsnil.com. Thanks for your support, and go Cats.